9:40, we'll say 9:50.
Was it 9:40?
Yeah, just, yeah.
9:35.
9:35, my watch is fast.
9:35.
Okay. Attendance, all are present except for Cindy, who may be late. Okay. Let's have Secretary's report. We're going to take a few minutes to read it. Nice and brief.
Make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
All in favor to accept the meeting?
Aye.
Okay. Let's go on to Treasurer's report.
The treasurer's report is here, you can read the various items that we paid out. We started out with a balance of $12,685.41 and ended with a balance of $10,171.99. So we're in very good shape for the next, for May and June, the last 2 months of the fiscal year. One of the things that we've been talking about is the price of gas. And what I did was I went back and looked at last year's. Last year's, April 2017, gas was $334.57, and the TMLP was $241.81. This year, in April, Columbia Gas was $589.01, and the TMLP was the same as last year, $241.83. And I got a notification from Columbia that they had been approved to have their rates increase, which is part of this. However, because it's such an enormous increase, I'm going to be calling them and finding out is there something we're doing wrong, because we don't have our heat up that much. Obviously, the heat is not up high at all on the weekends. We're only open 5 days a week. We're only open from 9 to 3. The units have been set to go down, for the heat to go down at a certain time. So I want to check on what's going on up there and what's going on with our lines, and if our meter is correct. Because this is just awful high, even with that rate increase.
The other thing I might suggest is Mass Save will come in and do an audit to see if, somewhere we might not know there's a hole somewhere that's pouring out heat and or using up too much electricity or something of that nature.
We had an electrical audit about 3 years ago, and we did fine by TMLP.
TMLP.
And we did fine, but it's that gas price.
Well, I just had Mass Save over. They just put 5 more inches of insulation in my attic, and they went around and they sealed the whole house where the board meets the foundation.
And do they do municipal?
They sealed that whole thing. The guy said, "You can't believe the air that gets through that underneath that board in your basement."
Try Mass Save, and then ask Columbia Gas if they do any kind of audit as well.
I would imagine they would. I mean, if the electric companies do, the gas company must.
But Mass Save, as Jim said, I mean, they'll get you great deals on any work that has to be done.
Yeah, it only cost me. The bill would have been, I think, $800 to $900 if I had to pay for the whole thing myself. They did it for $400.
Like last May, for example, Columbia Gas was $178.21. Who knows what it's going to be when it comes in this May? But that's $200 and some we spent extra.
It's not only him. I told you last meeting, mine went sky high.
Yeah, well, the rates
my
did go up.
Columbia
They
Gas
sent
bill
a letter
went
and an
berserk.
explanation.
I'm like,
I had the TMLP come in and do the audit because my house is all electric, as I told you. They did. It's nothing like Mass Save, though. I mean, at the end result, you talk about what need to be. all they offered was 2 light bulbs, 2 LED
Yeah,
light
yeah,
bulbs.
yeah.
That's what they gave me, that
Exactly.
was
This
it.
guy
And a
couldn't-
nice report, don't get me wrong, but, so I messed up, I should've called Mass Save.
Yeah.
Even though we don't, we don't get our electricity from one of the big companies,
Mhm.
they'll still come in and do it. I didn't realize that at the time. Jim is the one made me realize that.
Yeah, they
He
found
had-
that my contractor 25 years ago didn't do where the roof meets the flooring of the attic. There were pieces there that weren't long enough, so cold air was coming in, it wasn't getting dammed and stopped. So, I mean, I would have never known this. He found mold up there.
But
I had to have that remediated before they came in and put in the thing. I mean, it was well worth the guy coming.
Yeah.
He
By
went
the way,
around with a meter.
Mass Save doesn't charge you anything, it's a free service. Yeah.
Yep.
But anyway, it's a good point, 'cause
Yeah,
it's-
because that's
You're right,
just
we're closed most of the
astronomical.
time.
I mean, yeah,
We're closed
Just
more hours than we're open.
yeah.
Yes.
And so you can look at the other sheet, the sheet from the
Mhm.
accountant's office, and see what we're doing. We're really in good shape.
I was gonna say, it looks like we're gonna have an excess at the end of the year.
Well, to tell you the truth, by the end of the year, we're probably, I estimated it, and I was thinking that we are probably gonna have an excess of only maybe 2,700 to 3,000, because there are a few things that need to be done, such as there's gonna be a mass cleaning of the building with the windows done and everything, the rugs done and all that. And there's gonna be they're gonna come in and look at the system for the changeover of the system, changing the filters and everything. They're gonna be doing that. So there's a few things that may come up, but, we're doing really, really well, and I don't foresee anything, I'm gonna knock wood. I don't foresee anything major coming up. We had, like I told you about the door lock, we had to have that, the inside of the lock wasn't working correctly when you went to turn it. Outside was fine, but the inside, that turn knob was out and it had worn down, so they replaced that. It was College Town Siding and Glass replaced that, and I think I put that in May. And that was about, I think it was 180. So, things like that, I mean, obviously are gonna come up, but I think we're doing pretty well in
Yeah,
terms
it
of
looks like it.
expenses.
So you're estimating $2,000 excess, more or less?
We'll
Do
turn
we-
back,
Do
yeah,
we usually turn money back to the town?
we
or-
usually turn back like $10,000 to $20,000, yeah. And- and-
That money, if I may, that we turn back and the fire department, all, that's what ends up in the autumn meeting, fall meeting, where they buy all the
Free cash,
equipment,
right.
it's the free cash, exactly,
Yeah.
that we
But
talked about
I
before.
guess where I'm headed is when you do your budget for next year, is the finance committee gonna say, well,
They,
you spent 2,000, you didn't need that, are they gonna
no,
reduce
they
the
never
budget? We
have,
don't
they
get
never
no.
have, even when it
that-
was up to 10,000, 15,000,
Wow,
they turned it
okay.
back, they never said anything, in
Turn it
fact,
back.
I
this
had
year,
that.
when we
That's-
get to the
that's a problem.
budget,
But we should
when we get to the budget,
Right,
we'll
right,
ask,
exactly.
well, actually, you know what I always thought? I always thought even though we were turning that money back, I figured they'd bring that up, I was in Bridgewater, they would, if you turned anything back. But the other thing is that because we have all that money in both the donation and the remembrance account, I thought that at one point somebody would say, you've got that money, you've gotta plug part of that into your budget, but they
Right.
never have.
Oh, that's-
So, which is good for us, it's a little insane.
Well, it's a place where if we need to do things like buy the TV
Right.
or whatever, we can do that. And that's
And-
what the money was intended for. That's why people made the donation, so that we can do things to improve our facility. And that's what we do with it.
Motion to
Yes,
accept
no?
the treasure.
Well, we'll talk about
Yeah.
that. We'll talk about that part.
Motion to accept the treasurer's report.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let me get Peggy, and we'll do outreach.
oh, she can come.
Oh,
Wait a minute, did you second it, Tom?
Joan.
Yes, I did.
I was gonna say, don't you like Peggy, you're leaving?
No,
See, I have it on tape.
He wants to
and I
get
try
on
keep
camera.
notes.
Peggy?
Explain it.
And sometimes
You're on.
you
I don't
recognize the voice.
Right, the
Over here,
section
the
that
court
I
is the
wanted,
best.
a lot of times I just
God,
go
I'm
through
tired.
it, and
Are you
I
Oh,
always
it's a
just
birthday
have it
party
just,
yesterday
have it
for a
as
whole
a
bunch of
backup for
two-year-olds.
my memory,
Oh.
which is in the toilet.
Say no more.
I gotta tell you, I'll show you afterwards. The Cabbage Patch dolls now, they're all like automated.
They're back. Cabbage Patch dolls are
Yeah,
back.
but I gotta show you, it has an app, and I gotta show you the photo of what the doll looks like, because it's like a little robot doll in the Twilight Zone.
Oh my God.
Geez, I remember chasing around the
Hello.
world
Try
35
to
years
find
ago to
those.
find one.
Thank
Right?
God.
Every
Well,
daughter
We're not carved in stone.
I shall not one.
That and
Almost there.
Trivial Pursuit,
Down.
what we went through to get Trivial Pursuit.
Down.
And then with the grandkids, it was Tickle Me Elmo.
Oh, tickle me elmo, that too.
Thank you.
I might not even have a copy of this.
Oh.
Here.
Here, oh, wow, we got enough, look at that.
I just thought I'd give you something interesting to look at. It's colorful and interesting.
Wow.
I like the color. What does everybody else think of the
Oh,
color?
stop it, stop it. I'm not
I think it's great, the first page
Hey, it
anyway.
matches your shirt.
Exactly.
I know.
The month of April, 40 visits, not too many new visits, lots of revisits, lots of Shine visits. I had a meeting for Shine in Seekonk and one in Taunton for EMOT. EMOT is the Elder Mobile Outreach Team that does the counseling in the homes of seniors who need counseling and can't get out. They're wonderful. It's Terry Ruby's group, Dr. Terry
Dr.
Ruby's
Ruby's,
group. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm loosely connected with them, you know, because I'm one of the outreach workers. A lot of the outreach workers came to that meeting. Under highlights, we were handed our annual Shine test. Oh boy, 25 multiple choice. It's an open book test, but it's, of course, each question is involved. You know,
Sure.
it's tricky, and they try to get you and all this stuff. So I passed it in this month. We'll see. Last time I got them all right. Anyway.
Could you remind me again what SHINE stands for?
Yeah, it's the serving the health information needs of seniors, and now it's everyone.
Serving the
Health information needs of everyone.
Okay,
It's
thank you.
ridiculous.
They actually changed the
They
elders
changed
to
the
everyone?
elders to everyone. Okay, I told you about the EMOT meeting in the second thing, and of course, Shine visits constantly. People are turning 65. A lot of people are turning 65.
All the baby boomers.
Yeah, and the thing is, they want to see
Tail
me
end of it
early.
anyway.
They want to see me early and learn all about everything. But then, by the time they turn 65, and I have to make 2 or 3 visits because, you know, that's all right. I have the room to do that.
Mhm.
Now, what I decided to do is to give you. These are all the public benefits. I thought you might be interested.
Yes.
And this is how I screen people for whether or not they're eligible for public benefits. The programs on the left, the income limits are the next column, and the asset limits are the third column. So you can see it starts with Mass Health. That's Mass Health Standard. That pays for almost everything. And the first box is age 65, and then the next box is under 65 with a disability. So those 2 people those 2 categories would be eligible for Mass Health Standard if they fell into these groups. Now you notice under 65 there's no asset test.
Yes.
Interesting.
Very, yeah.
This buy-in, the next thing, the 2 green things, are both having to do with, you know how you pay Medicare B and it comes out of your Social Security if you're
Yeah.
over 65, you know that. These 2 benefits pay that Medicare B payment if you're eligible, income eligible and asset eligible.
So your income can't be over the 1,032.
Right. And your assets can't be over, you know, you can see 7,560 or 11 for a couple. And then there are several levels of that. The next one down is 65 with a disability. PCA, that's a personal care attendant. So this is the program, I'm pretty sure this is where you hire your own personal care attendant, but Mass Health will pay for the care in the home. The next one down is full extra help, which means that if you're income and asset eligible, it will pay a subsidy for your drug plan. Then partial extra help, of course, is the same thing, only you don't get the whole thing. And Mass Health Standard for caretaker relatives involves family, caretaker of a child. So then on the next page in the back, this Health Safety Net. Health Safety Net is a program whereby if you're income and asset eligible, you can have anything extra in the hospital that your insurance doesn't pay. And also for some doctors and so forth. And you can go to health center, community centers and so forth and get your drugs and doctors and all that for pretty good. But you have to be eligible. And frail elder, the next one down, is if you're in the home and you're very frail and you're nursing home eligible, you can, if you're income and asset eligible, you can get almost nursing home care in the home. Yeah, it's under Mass Health. And it has bigger guidelines, you see, much bigger
Yes.
than Mass Health standard.
Nursing home eligible,
Yep,
it has to be
Right.
something sick, you're sickly
you're
or some way.
pretty sick, yeah.
Age, for example.
Age
if you-
60
if you're-
plus.
If you're 92, you're
Yeah.
considered, whether you're, assuming you just have the normal 92-year-old illnesses, then you would be eligible for that benefit?
If you have, I think it's called ADLs, Activities of Daily Living. If you can't feed yourself, dress yourself, toilet yourself, bathe yourself, I think it is. And then if you're not mobile and you're on a walker or any kind of a device, if you're, all of those things, yes, and you're income eligible, yes, you can.
Okay.
And but you don't get anybody around the clock, but you get somebody all day long to be with you. They're trying to keep you out of a nursing home, is
Right.
Yeah, this next one is,
Prescription.
if I may, the ones that we've covered so far,
Yeah.
it amazes me the level they're talking about. I mean, at $1,300 a month, you're making under $15,000.
Yeah, how do you live?
Who in the world can live on $15,000 a year?
People do. It's shocking, but they do.
Even in Raynham.
But I mean, that's a ridiculous number. I mean,
Well, the thing is, these are public, the thing is, if you earn any more than that, they really figure you can live. Lots of them live in Mill Street, a lot of the seniors. 'Cause
well, if you can get a deal
Yeah.
like that, but you can't get a regular apartment.
No.
I mean, it
No.
costs you
They take
that
the
whole
whole
amount, the
thing.
whole thing.
Yeah.
And then what do you do?
And if you owned your own home, you'd be paying that kind of money out for
Yeah, I mean,
utilities.
Oh, you couldn't, most people with that kind of income can't stay in their own
No.
home. That's why it's public benefit.
why?
The prescription.
Anyway, I'm
advan-
sorry.
That's right,
Uh-huh.
I just didn't wanna drag on.
No,
If
go
you're not
ahead.
interested, but Prescription Advantage, I've explained to you lots of times. It's a Massachusetts program, only Massachusetts has it, and if you go in the gap with your drugs, you can get extra help from the government. And see how the income level is way up there, 3,000 for 4,000 for a couple. So almost everybody can get Prescription Advantage, and it's free. Okay, partial health safety net, again, full health safety net's at the top. Partial just means you have more money, but it will pay some of the hospital services that your insurance won't cover. And again, Prescription Advantage over 65. Oh, that's category 5, that costs money. And that's, if you have a lot of money, but if you have a good, decent income, but you have tons of drugs, this will help you in the gap.
Strictly in the gap, though.
Strictly in the gap, pretty much strictly, yes. But it does help if you get a drug that costs you $1,000 a week or something.
Mhm.
Then Common Health is very interesting. You're disabled, not eligible for Mass Health Standard, which is the first thing we talked about. You get automatic extra help, and you can, if you're under 65 and you're disabled, you can work 40 hours a month and get this. And look, no limit for income and no asset limit. So there's some people who can't get Mass Health Standard because they earn a little bit more than that horrible figure, but that they can still get this kind of thing if they work 40 hours a month or more. They can work, it's working disabled, it's
Mhm.
called. And then long-term care Medicaid is in the nursing home. So I thought you'd be interested, and then the next chart that I put in here, this is interesting because this is, I use this all the time. People come to me and they say, they want to do this or that, and I look down here to see if they're allowed to do it. Because look at the last column. if you, well, look at the second column, see, and read down. Let's see the first one. You belong to restriction advantage or within the last 2 months lost participation, and you have one chance a year to join, switch a plan, and so forth. So now you've got to find your scenario, the person you're talking to, and then find them on here. Pretty much I know them now, but not, I didn't used to. You recently returned to the United States. Yeah, there's every kind of scenario, and there's the back page too, in the back. So I just thought you might be interested.
This is a very interesting thing.
Yeah.
You did a great job
I
with
thought
this.
you might be interested in
Can
that.
you explain to them, about, what happened with the fuel systems?
Oh, let me think a minute now.
What we didn't know.
Oh, yes. I had a client that came to me that I had to explore fuel assistance for this person. And in the course of doing that, I called, because they were at the end of the fuel assistance sign-up. So, which is May. They stopped signing people up May 1st. And then I was trying to get this lady in before May 1st to get an award so she could at least fill her tank. And while I was talking, who was I talking to? I forget. I wasn't talking to fuel assistance. Maybe I was.
Wasn't it actually a client?
It was.
No, it's a fuel company, right?
It might. Oh, that's
Yeah,
what
it's
it
a
was.
fuel
It was a fuel. I'm talking to a fuel company. A fuel company said, you know, if you get this person fuel assistance now, they can submit back bills and get paid. And I said, what? I've been doing this for 20 years. I never heard that. And so, of course, I got on the horn and I called fuel assistance. And I said to them, is it true that you would pay back bills? I thought once May 1st came, you're shut off, you know, and if you didn't use up your whole award, too bad. They keep the money. Well, the woman said to me, well, yes, if they submit bills from before, and if it's a certain, in other words, yes. I said, why didn't you tell us in the field that we could do this? I've been doing it for 20 years, and I thought people lost their award after May 1st. Well, we don't always do it, and I'm thinking, I smell that.
Leave it to the fuel companies to know that they can
And then
submit the back
there was
bills.
the second one, remember wasn't there something else to put on the list when you go in October to say, and this too, wasn't? Because Kathy
Yes.
Hayes didn't know it either.
Thursday?
Yes.
Kathy
Okay.
Hayes-
I called
Yeah.
Kathy Hayes in Bridgewater, and she wasn't. She said, well, I sort of heard of this, but I said, did they ever tell us? No, they never told us. She said, well, I'm going to ask them the next time we
And there
have
was
a
something else that came up too regarding fuel assistance. They never
I don't
told that
remember
either.
now. I don't remember what that was, but this was the biggie.
Yeah.
This was the biggie. Because her award, I think, was $1,000, this woman. And her tank was pretty full. So she got a piddly little, you know, $100 thing paid for. And then supposedly she lost $1,000. But I told her, look, submit your older bills because it looks like you might get them paid.
That's great.
But that's huge.
Yeah,
Every
that's
single
big
year,
time.
they go, like Peggy said, 20 years, every single year they go in October to get the forms and everything, to be told what any new rules and regulations are. They've never been told apparently something that is simple and has gone on forever.
I've never been told for sure. I certainly have.
Wow. This is
By the
a-
way, these change all the time.
Yeah, I want to show
So I
you.
mean, but you get a general idea. This one
Great.
usually doesn't change, but these award things change all the time.
Some good information here, Peg. Thank you. You did a very good job.
I never thought of doing that before.
I make a motion to accept the outreach report as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the records report mentions, the work on the side and the front doors, which I told you about the side door that goes into the big room. I thought maybe the door might have to be rehung a little bit, or the hinges redone, or the platform that it closes on, but when the guy came here from College Town to look at that in the front door, it turned out it was a frost heave, and that when the weather finally moderated, the door was fine. it was scraping on the bottom, but the door was fine
Right.
after
If they can
finally the
squeeze
weather
me in
stopped
for
going
now,
up and
and
down,
every
up and
time
down,
tomorrow.
temperature
So
wise.
I'll try to find.
Senior law project, for the third year, Shelley,
Yeah, so this is
Well was
anytime
coming
I
to do
go
it with
to
us,
Monday class.
despite the Mass
I'm not
Bar
teaching
Association
Yeah.
saying they signed up too late.
I don't know, I probably
They gave us
next
a date to
Monday.
sign up, and when I
Just
called,
say if you don't hear,
2 days
you can
before,
call
they
and
said it
call
was
Liz
too
and
late,
say
so I
they were
didn't.
able to squeeze it.
And, but she's gonna provide people with handouts that correspond to, the booklet we used in the past for people. And the program is scheduled for June 11th at 1.
Memorial Day, no.
Eno's Medical
So that's
Shoes for
why it's
Diabetics
closed.
visited on the
So
23rd.
that's why they seem to-
They had 22 people, and Diane, is gonna be coming back on the 24th at 10 a.m. to both,
I'm
pass
trying,
out
I
the
was
shoes she
trying to
has,
ask Liz.
and also to, bring in some new people. As I told you before, if you're a diabetic, you get 1 pair of shoes free a year and 3 inserts. And she's gonna tell them she left me her cards, and in case people
Bye,
have
honey,
questions
take care.
before she gets here, she can explain things to them, because you're supposed to have chart notes
Selfish.
from your doctor that enables you to get the shoes. And so it just, eliminates one part of the process with her being here, if you have the information ahead of time, to give her that day. 45 people came for the Red Sox game, and we know that the karma we generated helped them greatly this year so far.
Well, I've gotta say, the Red Sox game was a great success.
It was really good.
You put probably 25 more people in there than you could have
Yeah,
before, so,
they stayed up.
and they stayed. There were 4 people or 6 people that stayed right till the end of the game.
Yeah. You and I had some correspondence. Mike Halen had approached me I was at a selectmen's meeting, about the possibility of getting
Get
us
bumped on that in the morning.
sports all the time on that.
I spoke to him,
Yeah,
I was at the library program they did a couple
Yeah.
weeks ago on a Sunday.
Which I heard was a big success.
It was, 66 people in there. And he and I were talking in the parking lot, and what he's researching it, because if he's gonna do it here, he's gonna do their building too. So he's looking for a bundle to combine the 2 buildings.
What he asked about was, did we think that people would be interested in seeing games regularly here, not just the opening day game,
Yeah.
but all season long.
Well, you got all the playoffs, like now, you got the Celtics playing tonight to move on, you got the Super Bowls coming up with football,
The other thing is
all
too,
those
if
big
we could
events.
DVR things, if we could DVR, a lot of people don't stay up for I mean, I know they have, the late games, and they might not have a smart TV at home or whatever. And if we had the capacity to DVR the
Right,
games,
that's
we
what
could
I
have
do.
shows there.
I tape them at night and watch them in the
Yeah.
morning, because
I was
it's
gonna say.
11 o'clock at night, it's
I
like,
can't stay up to that.
you know,
Red
the Red,
Sox,
they
Red
go
Sox
out
do it
west.
every night. Sox in 2, right?
Sox in 2,
Eliminate all the
Bruins in
Yeah.
2.
Yeah.
As long as they're playing on their own station,
Yeah,
you
so
can
he's
always.
he's gonna try to bundle the 2 buildings together.
That'd be good. I think that would be a good thing
Yeah.
here. People would come to that, I think.
Especially during
That's what
the,
we
especially during the summer when it gets hot, you and I talked about this, bring them in, to at least be in the air conditioning
Exactly,
a little bit.
exactly.
A lot of them will not have air conditioning in their homes.
I'm just surprised how many people don't have any kind of air
Yeah.
conditioning.
Even in the winter, if you advertised Sunday football here,
Oh, yes.
you'd have that place packed over there.
I know.
With a big TV like
Stay
that,
home
no.
and drink my beer.
I was gonna say pizza and beer, and it would be a great success, but that'll do the pizza part. But anyway, good. I'm glad something
Yeah,
is
he's gonna
coming
bundle
of
that
that.
together. Spring Fling, Liz Saunders was here for a really fabulous show on April 12th. She was a big hit. People actually sang and danced. It was really great. And so they asked for her to be rebooked, and we'll be looking to do that sometime in the future. First walking day was today. They left a little while ago. Heather Nix from Park and Rec came over to do that, as she's going to do every Monday, weather permitting, this spring and summer. Kathy Devine's going to be here from the state on May 14th to present an update on prescription advantage and how to qualify. Did we have her last year?
No,
I didn't
I don't
we
think
did.
we've ever
I
had
don't,
it.
have we never, I thought we.
No, she's very, very nice, she's wonderful.
Leston Gilmore has discontinued the beginner line dancing class on Monday afternoons, which opens up the 12:30 to 3 time for other programs and activities. We've already scheduled prescription advantage until help arrives this month, and Shelley Coelho's law program in June. And what I'm thinking of maybe doing is saving, reserving, because the Thursdays are so filled up with, you know, bands and lunch and movie and everything, having the information programs on those afternoons on Mondays. Unless somebody absolutely can't make it for an entertainment program, the information programs will be on Monday afternoon.
Good, that's a good idea.
So I think that we could do that, because then people would expect it, just like they expect the entertainment programs on Thursday. Bocce is starting this Thursday, weather permitting. Fred McCarthy and I spoke the other day, and we're heavily publicizing it, so we'll get more people this year. And Park and Rec and I have spoken. As I told you before, they're going to be spreading the stone dust out there. But I walked the court a couple of weeks ago, and it is in fairly good condition. Last year we had a lot of weeds in it. There were no weeds this year. The frame is in good shape and sturdy, except for two very small posts along the side of the frame that Norm is going to take care of us from Park and Rec and just replace those. But it was in very good shape out there, as was the bed of it, where they're actually going to play. It was level, and it looked good. So
Better than last year, then.
yeah, it really was.
Last
I
year
was
was
surprised. But you know, last year, in the fall, the guys rolled it out, and before
Yeah, but that's after we played all the
Right,
season.
but at the end of the season,
Late.
but no, but what I'm saying is that it remained level. It remained level. It
Yeah,
didn't get, you know, because of the
Yeah.
snow
Well,
and
that stuff
everything.
packs down that,
It's, you know, it's in good shape.
make a driveway out of that stuff.
And Karen Tonowitz did another well-received program on May 3rd, using the theme of the Kentucky Derby.
That's another opportunity missed.
Yeah, I watched
Could have
that.
had the Derby watching right here with the
Yes,
hats,
yes.
the ladies with the hats, phony
Soaking
mint
wet all
juleps,
over.
no alcohol.
Yeah,
Actually,
very
some,
good.
some people,
Yeah.
some ladies did that at the
Missed
Legion.
another opportunity.
Number
And,
for next year.
You know, she did a fast show with the fashions from the earliest days, and 32 people signed up for it, and she's gonna be back in October for a program about Salem, and about how, people who wore certain outfits it was part of the reason they were considered witches. What they wore, what they didn't wear, if they wore jewelry, if the type of
Their
jewelry they
fingernails were this
wore,
long.
and how they looked, and the hats and things.
We'll point
About
that
10
hat.
years ago, I
Boy,
had always thought
that'll-
about, since I
that'll
was
be-
a boy, thought about going to the Kentucky Derby. And about 10 years ago, I looked into it and so forth. The nosebleed seats were over $450.
Wow.
I said, maybe not.
Wow.
Because at that point, you could put a German Shepherd there with a monkey on its back, and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between a man and a horse. So I didn't, maybe say I didn't
It's a
go.
very expensive weekend,
Oh,
because it starts
jeez.
actually on Friday. They do some races on Friday, they do a pre-derby thing, and you can get wound up in that. and you
It's
can
another
spend-
sport of the elite.
Couple of guys I know went one year, and they said, that takes care of
Well,
it.
the funny thing was, one of the things she showed us that she had in her store, she has a vintage clothing store in Providence, the glasses. Remember, the glasses from the Kentucky Derby, of course, they take in consignments, and they also buy things, they buy items from people. And one of the things she had, every year, people who go to the Kentucky Derby come to her store in Providence and sell her glasses that they have gotten their mint juleps in from the Kentucky
Oh,
Derby.
glasses.
Yeah, and so, and she always gets a run this time of the year for people buying hats and the glasses
For the
like
party,
that.
yeah.
for the
Because
home
they go to the
party.
parties, right.
Could have had a
We
big
could
one
have
right
a
here.
party here.
A big
Yeah.
one right here.
I like Jim's idea.
Seriously.
Next year we
She's
should
here for the
seriously
hats.
think
Oh,
about that.
So-
women would love that. Guys can wear hats too, because what's his
Well,
name, that
The
Johnny
only
guy
thing,
had a big thing.
it's always a Saturday.
Don't go with
It's a Saturday, and the actual race itself, because they have a lot of preliminaries, the race itself doesn't happen until 6.
Right.
So, I mean, I think it's a great idea, we ought to do it, but keep in mind, it's a weekend event and it's a night event.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Plus, you can celebrate from 3 o'clock on.
It's, yeah, the
Imagine
quickest,
when
fastest
they
moving
spend
sports,
the
yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
2 minutes.
I DVR'd it and then I fast forwarded and then I stopped. There was the race.
You do the photo finish, huh?
And a reminder about meetings. Last year, you voted not to meet in July and August. That just a heads up for the next few months if you want to do that again.
Yeah.
And
We're still in
there's,
June.
and there's
Somebody
the
wanna-
list of things that are coming up in the next several weeks, including annual town meeting is on May 21st. and the Memorial Day Parade, Cast Week. There's a sign-up sheet, an explanation of what Cast is on the front desk. So if anybody wants to do that, this
An old
year.
kids band.
I urge everyone to go to the annual town meeting this year. A very hot topic this year. I won't make any political comments here, but it's a very hot topic, near and dear to me personally.
Can you say what the topic is?
Huh?
No.
It's a zoning topic.
Oh,
So I can
okay.
tell you.
Oh,
And I
I don't
will,
live
and I
here.
will tell you that one of the things that is supposed to be on the town meeting warrant, which we learned about at a recent department head meeting, was there's gonna be a 6.5 million sewer bond on the town meeting warrant, which will lead to an election in June for an override.
oh,
So I will just,
Wow, I wasn't aware of that. A special election in June, huh? You know how expensive those are, elections?
no, that's
Yeah.
next, a year from now.
No, this
This
year.
This
June.
Next month, wow.
This
Oh
is,
my God.
first thing hearing about it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm amazed at that. You know.
Well, my understanding at that meeting was we were actually handed the warrant article. That it was gonna be on this year's warrant,
For the,
annual
It's-
town meeting,
yeah, but not for the override.
yes,
I thought you said June was
June.
a meeting, special meeting for an override.
yes.
No, but I'm saying the warrant is in a couple of weeks, for
Yes.
the town meeting.
For the town meeting to approve it contingent on the approval at the election,
Okay,
right.
I see.
Okay,
Oh, that's gonna be a tough one.
that's a real tough one.
A motion to accept the director's report.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, there is no correspondence. I wanted to show you, you have some, couple of pages here about, that say Raynham COA, and it will show you the, tax work that was done this year by, Jennifer, Kathy, and George. And, they did, $53,000 in circuit breakers, and they did 161 tax returns. And the interesting part of this, I realized they did have 3 people and they only had 2 last year, but they had 3 extra days last year of taxes, and they still did more. Last year, they did 142 federal, 123 state. This year, they did 161 of those. So it was a very productive tax season. And the other thing is that we were outside of Taunton, which obviously is a city. We did more tax returns than anybody else in the area, except for the city, and the city's was like 300 and something. So we did a very good,
On this, there's 2 dates there, there is 16. Is that just a typo?
where are you?
On that Raynham COA, see all the dates? February, and when it gets to March, it goes to just 2016.
Yeah, I think
Is that
that's
just
just
a
a-
typo?
I think it's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I see.
But you know me, I'm picky. All right.
So they did a very good job.
I think the other states,
Yeah. It doesn't happen often.
And then what's this here?
Expansion of building.
Yes, expansion of building hours. We talked about this before, and it's something that, as you know, Pat Riley has been elected to the position of selectman, and Pat asked me about it recently, before the election. So we're gonna be talking about that sometime in the future, to consider the expansion of hours of the building. Which, you know, as I told you about before, if we're gonna do it, there's gonna have to be people paid to do it. And that's something we talked about, so we're gonna discuss that and see, what the, if that needs to happen, if it should happen, and also when it should happen. Perhaps it should only happen for 6 months, perhaps it should just be when daylight saving time is available. I don't think anybody's gonna show up here in the winter,
I think you're right.
after 4 o'clock. So it probably is something we would do on a seasonal basis.
Mhm.
Sounds
So
like a
that's
plan.
something that really needs to be considered, because, let's not waste money or time if
Mhm.
nobody's gonna be here. So, that's something that we're gonna be talking about. The new business seasonal activities, as we've mentioned before, are starting up now because the weather is finally moderating. We're also gonna have nature walks again this year. But this year, I think what we might do is vet people a little more when Heather and I have talked about this at Park and Rec, and Joe Dwelly, who does the nature walks, and I have talked about it. When people come to do things, we're gonna speak to them first. I mean, we speak to people when they come to do exercise, we speak to people when they come to do Tai Chi, when they do yoga. You know, we speak to them so we know that they're able to do it. Not last year, because it was a very bad season last year for us in terms of being able to walk. We seemed to have too hot weather, or weather that was rainy. But we had a gentleman the year before that who nearly passed out. He went down when he was on the walk. And it was because he was not honest with us. We had briefly, said, is everybody ready? Does everybody know what they had their hats and everything. But this guy apparently, when the weather gets really hot, he passes out. And he didn't tell us. And he had no water. Everybody else had water. So there's gonna be certain standards that people are gonna have to meet when they go out there. They're gonna have to have water, they're gonna have to be straight with us. Now, the man ended up being fine. But it wasn't until we were here with the ambulance that he told us and the EMTs, this happens to me all the time. It happened to me 2 days ago in my backyard when I was mowing the lawn. And I said to him, well, then when I asked you about, do you have any, and I said, you've gotta be honest with us. And I said, don't come back. No, I mean, I didn't
people from themselves.
I didn't want this man back if he's gonna pass out in the field.
Oh my God.
So everybody's gonna have to have water, everybody is gonna have to have a hat, everybody is gonna have to be dressed appropriately, they're gonna have to have appropriate shoes to be out there. And Joe and I have already talked about if the weather is too hot, because we were down there. If the weather is too hot, we're just gonna keep it over here, because there's certainly a lot of nature out here in this field where there's the split rail fence. There's a lot of butterflies, there's birds, there's a whole bunch of things, and it's contained.
Yeah.
It's an area where we can quickly find
Get
shade
an
if we have to,
ambulance in,
get some, well, not even that, Peggy, just, have people get in their cars if they have to, put in the air, we're able to control it more. So that's definitely something, both with the walkers, Heather questions them before they go out, today they were all dressed appropriately and they had water. In fact, I cut the price tag off a woman's hat when she was out there. But, so the mini pearl complex.
Caddyshack.
So we're gonna be doing that this year because of the heat, and also, some of the bocce people have been pretty good. The bocce people, but, throwing in the building too.
Well,
The
they can
bocce
sit
people,
down, too.
yeah, but they've been very good about, adhering to certain things, and they come in when they feel too hot, and they have a cool drink, and they sit down. If they don't wait till they pass out. But, so we're adapting the programs, the outdoor programs, as you said, save people from themselves.
So when are we building the racquetball court?
When are we building the
jeez.
basketball court?
You're gonna have to ask a lot of questions before
Oh.
you go in there.
It says racquetball court.
I'm sorry, it's supposed to be,
No,
Pickle.
I thought it was
Yeah,
pickled, yeah. that's what I-
Pickleball, you play on the tennis court.
Pickleball is all lined up for the tennis court, but given what's happened at Park and Rec, I don't know when we're gonna start that.
What's happening in Park and Rec?
Andrea's leaving, and they've got the job posted for a new director of Park and Rec. So,
Oh, Andrea's the one that took it from Liz?
yeah,
She's
so,
leaving already, huh?
yeah, so it's a little bit up in the air as to where pickleball's gonna be, because Andrea and I were gonna do it together, so I don't know about pickleball again this year, we'll see.
Okay. I would,
Shade over the picnic tables, can
Yeah,
they build
shade.
a,
Norm and I have been talking about at least having it over one, having like a
Umbrella.
thing, not an umbrella, having like
Oh.
a pavilion type
canopy,
thing,
oh, yeah.
what about one of those,
That last sheet, the highlighted sheet, those highlighted areas are where we've asked for more money this year. And, we haven't been questioned at all by the finance committee or David Grab in accounting. And, so we did increase, only a few areas, and they include, the heating, and energy. We went up 1,000 because of what I explained to you about
Mhm.
gas, who knows for next year. We went up on the maintenance, of the building, because as the building gets older, I'm anticipating there may be things that need to be done. The newsletter, postage went up, but also, we just about break even with that, and so we probably need a little extra money going forward. And recreational, we went up on that, because we have been doing a lot of things this year where we did more entertaining this year, let's put it that way. We did more entertainment this year than we did in previous years. And I wanna mention one other thing that happened, a couple of weeks ago. Friday, as you know, the town hall closes at 12 o'clock on Friday, and at 11 o'clock I got a phone call from Ashley in accounting saying, the state sent you $60,000 for your formula grant account. I said,
I'll take it.
now remember, when I came to you in March, we had just gotten the $20-some thousand for Peggy. And I said, what do you mean? She said, they transmitted it to here, it's in the bank, it's in our bank here. And so she sent me the transmittals, and I'm looking at it, and indeed it says $60,276 for the town of Raynham. And of course I know it's not our money. It isn't our money. So I called up Emmett Schmazzo at Executive Officer of Elder Affairs, he wasn't there, and at the same time I'm talking on the phone, leaving him a message, I'm scanning the transmittal and sending him an email with the transmittal saying, this isn't our money, we received it, blah, 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 going on. So, 1 o'clock comes, and they're gone at town hall, and there's nothing I can do right now, but Emmett calls, hyperventilating, and said, oh my God, and I said, calm down, I know it's not our money. And so then he said, okay, so the $25,000, I said, no, Emmett, no, we got our $25,000. This isn't any part of our money. He goes, oh shit, it's worse than I thought. And I said, well, yeah, kinda. And I said, listen, I said, I need to do something with this. I mean, what do you want me to do? And he said, can you transmit it back to us? And I said, and so that started us on a long journey. He went down to the finance person, called me back, and he said, I stuck it under her face. And she looked at it, and I said, what did she say? And he said, nothing. She just kept staring at it. So, Monday morning, I go over to Michael King, and I explained to him what happened. He said, what you have to do is do a warrant, and like an invoice, like I do for anything, any bill I'm gonna pay. Put the number on for the, formula grant account, and get a memo from the state to send me. So they send a memo to me, I attach it on there, and and I've got my warrant and my invoice onto that. I've got the transmittal that wasn't supposed to be on that. Now I've got a package together, right? And so the woman called and said, thank you so much for, doing this and your diligence and everything. And I said, listen, by the time I was on the beach in Rio, the extradition papers would have been written. So, what good would it do me? So I go in and I hand it to them and I explain it to David Grabb, and he said it looks fine, and it didn't get on the warrant last week for the selectmen sign. So they're waiting for their money in Boston.
Oh
So
my God.
Marie Smith was here for the hat thing, the Kentucky Derby, and I said, Marie, I want to explain to you, something's going to be on the warrant this week. I really need you guys to sign it, because I was told that sometimes they don't even look at things.
Oh,
They just get, and I said, you gotta sign this one, please. And I explained to her what it was, and her eyes are like this. I said, you're gonna see a warrant item from me for $60,000. She said, why? Why? What do you mean?
What are you doing?
And I explained the whole thing to her, and she said, so it wasn't us? And I said, no. And I said, they commended me for sending the money back, and I told her about the extradition anyway. And I said, it's not our money. We had to send it back, so that is done and taken care of. They're gonna sign it tomorrow, and they're coming in from Boston to actually get the check.
Oh, you're kidding.
And they want the check in their hands. They don't want it sent. They want it hand done. So they're gonna come in.
But all the steps to give something back.
To give it back.
In a hurry.
In a hurry.
You can do everything over years, but not in a hurry.
And they said to me, some towns wouldn't have done this. I said, they'd eventually have to.
They'd find out.
Yeah.
They're gonna find out.
Somewhere there'd be an audit and
Let's
someone
get
would
rid
pick
of
it
it
up.
now.
Why
So
did
that
it
was
happen?
Why did
60,000
I should
isn't
tell
like
you.
24.
Well, I'm looking at 60,000, and that's city money. That's not town money. So what happened was, the explanation I got was that some other town or city, somewhere on the list, they had sent their paperwork in so late that they had to cut the they had to do the transmittal now, which all the other transmittals were done in March. So somehow, some way, some town,
With an R.
it must be, they put our name on by mistake
Town-
instead of this
town
other
number.
town.
They
Or,
have
or the number.
the number is
Yeah.
probably.
And so, and it got to us. So that was my adventure. That was my
So-
adventure.
Wow.
Wow.
So if
Hey,
you wanna,
No, yeah, before these, on this, you're talking about expenses and so forth, and I just remembered, you told us what was happening with painting the inside of the building. Was that the sheriff's department?
yes,
When's
yes.
that happening?
I don't know, hopefully this summer. I've been talking to the
Okay, so
sheriff's
you don't have a
department.
date for them yet?
No, and,
Okay.
and my contact through the Are You Okay program,
Uh-huh.
and, who's gonna be coming here in a couple of months, I asked her if she could maybe put in a word for us, so that we could get into, because, you know, I've gone through the selectmen told me how to go through them. Well, it doesn't hurt to have more, particularly people there, who put in good words for us. So
Sure.
the selectmen are involved in doing this too.
That's good.
Putting-
And there's always
you know.
the representative and the senators as well.
Oh, and two
But,
things that I just wanna bring
But
up.
they've done work in this area
Yes,
before. I had
they-
them do work for Park and Rec, painting
And
buildings.
they painted this
I think they
building.
did this
Yeah, they
before.
did do this building. Two things that are coming up until Help Arise, which you probably know about. And also, this is for veterans, it's gonna be happening, this coming weekend at the school. So if you know any
Kayla's
veterans.
doing a good job. She's an
Interesting, yeah.
interesting young lady.
She's a breast cancer survivor too,
Is that right?
yes.
I didn't know that.
Okay, so you wanna go?